Parish Council meeting to order. The date is April 26, 2017. The time is 6:10. If everyone could stand for the prayer and pledge, and I'd like to recognize Reverend Mitchell. Going to lead us in prayer. Thank you, sir.
As we bow our heads in prayer. Father in heaven, we are most grateful that you've allowed us to live this day and be clothed in our right mind and heart. We recognize the things that you have placed in our life, authorities and governments, because we know that there is no ordained authority unless it's come from you. So we pray not only for this meeting, but also for the council members, the parish president, and all their families. We ask, Lord, that you cover them and keep them, but most of all, give them wisdom on how to govern. Help them to understand that you're willing to stand behind them and for them as they seek righteousness and judgment and true justice. We bless them in the name of Jesus, and we thank you, Lord, for all the rights that's being done. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. And amen.
Thank you. Mr. Montero, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think you had an invitation, maybe, Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, I wanted to invite the council and everyone that is under the sound of my voice here tomorrow, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. We are hosting, we being the Iberia Christian Ministerial Federation, which is populated with about 16 pastors in our parish. We're holding a community tent revival, and this has been in the works since about October of last year. We originally responded to some things going on in the city on the West End, and this is the fruition of that and the beginning of something. We recognize that we do have some problems, and it's not just going to take one answer. We recognize that the problem is spiritual because you're dealing with men's hearts. We also recognize that law enforcement must be involved because they're the ordained authority. And then thirdly, the community is vitally important to respond and come together because the foundation of our society is family and community. So we would ask you to attend. It begins 6:30 each night, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, located on the corner of LaSalle and Persian Streets. And it's the open lot. It used to be a park. Now it's going to private ownership, and we'll be putting up a tent on tomorrow and beginning the time tomorrow night, Friday night, and Saturday night. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, lead us in prayer, and thank you for that invitation.
You're welcome.
Roll call.
Tommy Collins.
Here.
Michael Landry.
Here.
Tommy Landry. Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Warren Dashasay.
Here.
Albie Broussard.
Here.
Paul Landry.
Here.
Ricky Gonsalas.
Here.
Joe Dugan.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Robert Francis.
Here.
Marty Trahan.
Here.
Chad Monterey.
Here.
Go into public comments. I need a motion to move into public comment.
Move.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Montaran, second by Mr. Francis. Roll call. Can everybody vote again? It didn't record. That motion carries. First, we'll go to non-agenda items, and I'll recognize Ms. Janet Falk Gonzalez with the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much. I just wanted here to extend invitations as well. Tomorrow evening from 5 to 7, we'll have the business after hours at Acadiana Regional Airport. And I've been working very hard to make sure that everybody was aware of the event, but I didn't want to leave tonight, let that go by without extending the invitation. So, and actually, you could come from 5 to 6:15 or so and still make it in time for the revival if that's on your list. So I don't want to take away from that, that's for certain. But I think it'll be a real nice time. It's the airport is a wonderful asset that we have to show off, and a lot of people don't realize all the work that's been done out there recently. And the second invitation I wanted to extend is for the Stand Up for Energy Jobs rally, which is taking place in Baton Rouge next Tuesday, May 2nd. And I'm very excited that the Chamber of Commerce has partnered with the Grow Louisiana Coalition, and we will actually have a bus going from Bulleney Plaza over to Baton Rouge. So your transportation is free and you can socialize all the way there and back, as well as the lunch at the rally. When we get to Baton Rouge, there'll be meetings with legislators first for the first hour or so, and then there'll be a debriefing on the coastal master plan, then back to lunch and the rally, more informal networking with the legislators and other people of various industries. We really want to make sure that people understand that it's not only the energy sector that we want to turn up there, but we know that energy jobs are the core of our economy, and they impact our restaurants, they impact our retail stores, impact our uniform shops, whatever, across the board. So I do have flyers with a full agenda. If anybody wants to go, they just need to let me know so I can save a seat for them on the bus. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janet. That was the only comment we had on non-agenda items. Moving to comments from the general public on agenda items. We have representatives from the Iberia Mental Health Initiative to address the council regarding the month of May being proclaimed as Mental Health Month.
Thank you. I didn't know I'd be back here so soon, but we represent the Iberia Mental Health Initiative. We've formed a nonprofit now, and it's a group of volunteers. It's a very diverse group. We have Reverend Zach Mitchell is a member. Phyllis Babineau is here with us. She is a licensed clinical social worker, and Catherine Watney is here also. We've been instrumental in this group, and Michael Watney is here also. He's a member. We have sheriff deputies, we have clinicians in the mental health field, we have a pediatrician, we have some volunteer sorority ladies from Jeanerette and Iberia Parish. And we have a very diverse group who is interested in this topic and interested in seeing something done in Iberia Parish. 60 years ago, the Mental Health Association of America started introducing to public bodies resolutions to recognize May as Mental Health Month. We started here 2 years ago. This is our second time before you all. And we're here to help spread the word and to recognize the issue of mental health and mental awareness in our area. Louisiana, as usual, ranks at the top of the need for mental health services, and we rank at the bottom of states in the access to mental health. So this group is hoping to bring some light to those facts and to some other facts and things that we can do. You know, all of us, I think, have been affected some kind of way in mental health areas, either by loved ones or friends or relatives that have had issues, or even as a taxpayer or on a public body, because we deal with the effects of untreated individuals either in our hospitals or in our jails, or in just dealing with the stresses that we feel every day. You know, we need to learn about how to have good health and how to exercise and keep from being stressed. But this group is hoping to start the conversation on things that we can do in Iberia Parish to address those issues and give some information and education. Catherine has more details about that. She keeps all the details together.
And as Dean said, we are a coalition of concerned citizens, and we're dedicated to identifying and addressing the mental health needs of our community, because we know of the prevalence of the need to address this issue, and we know of the limited resources there are. So our organization, our coalition, is working to address these needs, and one way that we'll be doing this next month is by a program for parents. It will be at the main library on May 23rd, and we will have a speaker, a child psychiatrist on staff at Tulane. She will be talking about indicators of childhood mental health issues, how parents might recognize those indicators, where to go to seek help, and just strategies for parenting. And like I said, it'll be May 23rd at 6 p.m. at the main library, and it's free and open to the public. You can spread the word. It will be announced in the Daily Iberia and other media. But if anyone would like to work with our initiative also in these efforts, we welcome anyone to come forward and work with us, join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Natalie, we have a proclamation associated with this effort that Larry would like to have read.
When we get to the agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think there's an
thought-
agenda item on there.
I thought we were in it.
And we're in public comments.
I'm going to go back to sleep. It's been a long day.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards or commissions to address the council. Next would be Mr. Albert Burke, who wants to discuss agenda item number 5. Mr. Burke, I believe that is actually on the committee, not on the full council. If that's correct, right?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, so we're gonna wait till we go into public comments on committee.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks, no problem.
All right. That's all the public comments that we have now. I need a motion to close public comments.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Trahan, second by Mr. Gonsolin. Roll call. Before we take the vote, I'm being told by our clerk that Mr. Miguez is in the audience, although when I called for persons to address the appointment, nobody stood up. Did you want to address the council, Mr. Miguez?
Back in '62, when I got out of school, I got into floor covering and trained a little while. And in '73, I started my own business with a couple of helpers. And I found quick that the people that were building houses had no protection of what kind of contractors were going to build their houses. You had to go by word of mouth, talk to your friends, talk to your relatives. We had no protection whatsoever. Then, '83, we voted in the Home Rule Charter, and planning and zoning came into effect. It's taken us a little while, but we're getting there. We're making some positive movements all the way around. And that's the one thing that I think I can bring to the table, is that Mr. Raines is going to give me an address on a project, and I want to meet direct with that person or persons, that whatever they want to do, how long they plan on doing it, what kind of facility they're going to put up, what kind of guidelines that we're going to have to face, they're going to have to face. And then go talk to the residents in the area. Get in contact with them, have all sides together before I make a decision on this particular project. And when you deal with residential, also you're gonna be dealing with commercial and industrial. When you're dealing with industrial, like Ricky and Mike Landry with the offshore, you're dealing with chemicals. Because some of them can be hazardous chemicals. You're bringing in EPA, DEQ will get involved in some of these projects. And that's the one thing that I've been offshore for 35, 40 years. I've made the chemicals that we deal with, some of them are deadly, like zinc bromide will kill you in a heartbeat if you don't know what you're dealing with. And we've got, make sure these companies have these pamphlets in the front of them, that MSDS sheet, the way they know what chemical they're dealing with and then how to process with that chemical if anything has a spill. But that's one of the things that I think I'm familiar with and up to date on everything. Brenda's got 2 phone numbers for me. You can reach me at any time. And also I'm working on side with a couple of drainage projects with Sewage District 1 when Mr. Paul's on the board. We had a couple that had some raw sewage coming in their house. And I've worked with Rick and got with Barry Segura and who kind of alleviated that. And Ricky and him just got some easements to start some drainage work up in that area also. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miguez. Is there anybody else that wanted to come before the council that's up for appointment on any boards or commissions that we might have missed? All right, so. So we have the motion to close public comments and the second, and if we can vote on closing public comments now. That motion carries. Reports from finance and administrative actions, there's none. Reports, parish or other governmental agencies, reports by project engineers on various ongoing projects, including grant-funded projects, all in accordance with resolution number 2013-49. Those reports were included in our packet. Public Works reports, Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated April 3rd through the 7th, and April 10th through the 14th of 2017, and Public Works Department report for open work orders dated April 18th, 2017. All of those should have been included in your packet or in your emails. Special business, there's none. Council member announcements, is there any council member announcements? Mr. Gosselin?
First off, I'll pull up my notes here. May 2nd, that's Monday, 9:30. Crime Stoppers are going to be doing their grand opening at Community First Bank. They asked, I think some of y'all might have got phone calls already. They're asking for attendance, so it's going to be a new program, the kickoff to Crime Stoppers. So if you can attend Community First Bank, 9:30 May the 1st, which is Monday. Also, a lot of phone calls in the recent days on the Northside Road project and LA 86 closing. Did a bunch of work today along with help with Mr. Saunier and administration. Went out and visited the site, talked to Sean Wilson and Bill Oliver and the project engineer, and I got them to agree to move back the closing of 86 till Tuesday, so that parish government and I think Mr. Matt Duran can complete the project of Northside Road on Monday, weather permitting, and they'll open it up for through traffic, so we don't have that corner of the parish boxed in. So we'll have to come back at a later date and asphalt it, but we're able to get those two entities working together to alleviate some of the concerns of the constituents. So just want to make that announcement. Thank you now.
Thank you, Mr. Gosselin. Mr. Landry?
Last Thursday, I had the pleasure of going to the city of Jeanneret, Louisiana. Parks and Rec had their board meeting over there. And just kudos to Katie and her board and her staff. They showed the projections of what they've done at the RV park, and it was a substantial amount of profit. So once the regular season kicks in, I think everybody's going to see we did a good job in changing it over there, because it was very impressive.
Any other council member announcements? Mr. Napier?
I just want to let everyone know that we do have a celebrity in our midst. Friday night, one of our own is going to take to the dance floor for Catholic High out at the casino. Ricky Gonsalves is going to be dancing with the stars with a beautiful young lady. I don't know how you did that.
Yeah.
So
Lots of practice.
I want to wish our fellow councilman good luck with his dancing on Friday night.
On TV?
Break a leg.
Don't break a leg, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Napier. There's a lot of practice, believe me.
Thank you.
Shaking for dollars, huh, Ricky?
Our clerk is suggesting a taste.
Oh, yeah.
One time, Rick.
We gotta save it. It's top secret.
Any other council member announcements?
Natalie, what about Highland? Didn't Highland put it on?
National
The
Prayer Day.
National Day of Prayer is May 4th. Highlands hosting, like they've done, I don't know for how many years, probably going on over 10 years that I know of. So that'll be May 4th. I believe it's at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
At
at
Highland
church.
Fellowship Hall, yes. I'd also like to make an announcement. Tommy Pollard and I attended a meeting on Sunday. That if some of you may have seen the press release from the city of New Iberia, this meeting was attended by Senator Fred Mills, State Representative Terry Landry, District Attorney Bo Dewey, Sheriff Louis Ackle, Iberia Parish President Larry Reshort, Mayor Freddie DeCourt, members of the New Iberia City Council, Sherry Guidry and Marlon Lewis, Mr. Bill Russell, Mr. Norman Antoine, City Attorney Jeff Simon, and Chief Deputy Richard Hazelwood. The topic of this meeting was regarding the increase of violence activity and criminal activity going on in our community. And I just want to reiterate what the city's press release said was that we're aware of it, we're working on it, we're united. It was a very, very productive meeting with all of these groups coming together. I just want the citizens to know that we are working together. There was a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good communication, and pooling some resources and getting the state involved with all the different agencies locally. We're doing our best to address this concern. So thank you for attending as well, Mr. Tommy Pollard. Moving along to, yes, sorry.
One more, I missed one. Just to inform the council, next week, May 3rd, is Legislative Day in Baton Rouge. For us to attend, all our state legislators will be available to connect with them. So I plan on going, but if anyone want to tag along, well, we're going to be going to Baton Rouge for Legislative Day.
What day is that on?
May 3rd.
May 3rd.
You driving, Rick?
Day of the week.
Yes, sir.
Day of the week.
Is that Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
All right, before we go into parish president announcements, Mr. Reshort asked me to let everybody know he's not in attendance tonight. He's attending a function with several other parish presidents. I think Mr. Guy Cormier, Mr. Joe Robideau, a couple others, and they're working on economic development, so we're hoping to hear some good news when he returns. I don't know if he left some instructions for you to take over his parish president announcement, or is that the extent of it for tonight? Okay.
He's asleep at the wheel.
I'll defer. It's your turn now, Mr. Saunier.
And look, if you notice, I get the other thing right, pretty close to this one. Before we start though, Ricky, I want you to know, and I'm gonna tell everybody that he's about to embark on something, well, he already did. The fun part's coming. The Dances with the Stars thing is probably one of the toughest things that you can do. So if anybody else gets invited to do it, you need to. Larry did it last year. And I don't want to put any pressure on him, but I'm a past champion. I'm going to bring my trophy.
Big shoes to fill.
And I did it in Delcom. It's actually boots. We had high heel white boots. So it's going to be good.
Thanks for the compliment.
No, it's a tough thing, though, no doubt. Larry wanted me to pass on a couple of things. The first one is, as everybody knows, the Clerk of Courts building, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony last week. He wanted to thank everybody that came out. The Chamber of Commerce for helping with putting that on. And just to remind everybody that the clerk experiences about $150,000 of expense on an annual basis. It's $150, right, for binding books. That because of the building, or because of what you guys did and funded this storage building, they're not going to have to experience that anymore. So in essence, that building will be paid for in roughly 3 to 4 years, basically because of those cost savings. So again, also the clerk wanted to tell you thank you for you guys having the foresight to make that happen. So it's a great thing for the parish. The other thing I wanted to mention, we had a very successful household waste day this weekend. I know many of you attended. Just a couple of numbers. Last year, we had some 90 vehicles show up. This year, we had 197. So it's a significant increase. Great day. Hats off to the staff, everybody that worked on it. Public Works does a great job every year. We had a lot of the administrative staff there, and a lot of councilmen showed up. I wanted to give a special thanks to Cynthia Provost and Kimberly Myers, who kind of handled putting the whole thing together. So just a great opportunity for people to bring some items that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get rid of, and I think it was a positive thing for the parish. And as far as announcements go, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Saunier.
Thank you.
Consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. First is the approval of minutes, the regular meeting of February 22nd, published March 27th, 2017. And the second is the resolution proclaiming the month of May as Mental Health Month of Iberia Parish. Anybody want to take either one of those out of the consent agenda?
If I may, Madam Chair. Okay.
All right, hearing no desire to remove either one of them, I'll turn it over to Mr. Saunier to read the proclamation.
Okay. This is for Mental Health Month 2017. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas mental illnesses are real and prevalent in our nation, and half of us will have a mental health diagnosis at some point in our lives. And whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives and should feel comfortable in seeking help and support to manage these times, and whereas engaging in prevention, early identification, and early intervention are as effective ways to reduce the burden of mental illness as they are to reduce the burden of other chronic conditions, and whereas there is a strong body of research that identifies behavioral health and risk support and supports specific tools that all Americans can use to protect their health and well-being, and whereas the effective treatment all individuals with mental illnesses, even serious mental illness, can make progress toward recovery and lead full, productive lives, and whereas jails and prisons have often become the default places of custodial care for even nonviolent people with serious mental illnesses, and whereas each business, school, governmental agency, healthcare provider, organizations, and citizens has a responsibility to promote mental health and well-being for all. Therefore, I, and I'm doing this for Larry, M. Larry Richard, President of Iberia Parish Government, do hereby proclaim May 2017 as Mental Health Month in Iberia Parish. As the President of Iberia Parish Government, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Iberia Parish to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses at all stages. And it's signed by Parish President Richard, proclaiming May of 2017 Mental Health Month.
All right, I need a motion for both the consent agenda items. Moved by Mr. Lloyd Brown, second by Tommy Parker.
You didn't. I need to remove the minutes for regular meeting February 22nd to be motion to be corrected.
All right, so we'll remove that. So
I need a second.
Second.
you don't need a
that's
motion to
right.
remove it.
That's right.
So we're going to take the vote on approving the remaining consent agenda item. We have a motion and a second. Roll call. That motion carries. So the approval of the minutes has been removed from the consent agenda item, so we'll take that matter up next. That would be the approval of the minutes of February 22nd. Mr. Gonsalves, you have a motion in connection therewith?
I'll refer to Ms. Bergeron for the corrections. Oh, yeah, I got them right here. Okay, I'll go ahead and read them. I don't have my glasses. That's what I said. Pass it there.
On resolution summary number 2017-11, that was adopted during that meeting, the motion was to table a section of the personnel policy for the fairgrounds and to reduce the competitive quotes for purchases from 2,000 to 1,000 and to follow Iberia Parish Government's purchasing policy. and it was, actually should have been, C should have been to ratify and approve the purchasing and disbursement policy of the resolution adopted by the fairgrounds only for purchases under 1,000, and to follow the Iberia Parish Government's procurement purchasing policy for all purchases over 1,000.
So, Mr. Gonsalas, your motion is to amend it to,
To amend it to those corrections.
do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Napier. Any other discussion? All right, so we will approve the minutes subject to the correction. Roll call. That motion carries. Next, ordinance is introduced for public hearing and adoption. There are none. Next, resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoptions. Summary number 56, introduced by the clerk of the council, a resolution appointing one member of the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission for a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Mr. Dana Dugas, whose term expires June 27, 2017. Applications of interest on file are from Dana Dugas, Ronnie Miguez, and Chad Segura. All three of them have come before the council, so they're all eligible to be voted on tonight. Going to ask you to vote your ballots and make sure you please vote with on the pad that has your district number.
Give me yours, I'll vote for you.
District 1, Chad Segura. District 2, Chad Segura. District 3, Chad Segura. District 4, Dana Dugas. District 5, Chad Segura. District 6, Chad Segura. District 7, Chad Segura. District 8, Segura. District 9, Chad Segura. District 10, Dana Dugas. District 11, Chad Segura. District 12, Chad Segura. District 13, Chad Segura. District 14, Chad Segura. That is 12 for Chad Segura and 2 for Dana Dugas. And 0 for Mr. Miguez. Congratulations, Mr. Segura, and thank you very much for being willing to serve on this board for us. Summary number 65, introduced by Paul Landry, District 7, a resolution creating the Iberia Parish Home Rule Charter Ad Hoc Committee to include 4 elected officials and 4 members from the general public to discuss proposed changes to the Home Rule Charter, with said changes to be presented to the voters of Iberia Parish at an election to be held in 2018. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Paul Landry.
Second.
Second by Mr. Michael Landry. Any discussion?
Go ahead. One thing we had talked about was going ahead and getting an odd number so that we wouldn't have the 4-to-4 vote and stuff. And so after discussion, I'm going to make a substitute motion that maybe we add someone from the administration, maybe Larry or whoever they would want to put on. But that way we get an odd
So you
number.
have 9.
So that's my discussion, and I'll come back with the second, with the
The
substitute.
motion. Mr. Olivier?
Yeah, just for procedural purposes, where it says, public to discuss the proposed changes to the homeroom charter, with said changes to be presented to the voters of Iberia Parish at election to be held in 2018, I'm sorry. The charter requires us to come back for a vote to the full council before we move it to the voters. Am I correct?
If it's a committee. Mhm.
Right. Should that be not included in the resolution?
It's understood.
For clarification?
I think if it's an ad hoc committee, it has to come back before the
It has to
council,
come back
before it
full
goes
council
to the
before it goes to the
voters.
voters. Okay, I just want to make sure that was clarified. All right, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Now,
Mr. Gonsalas?
with the additional added member, or is the chairman appointing someone to administration, or administration going to appoint somebody? What is your thoughts on that?
I would say the chairman appoints.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's what you, it doesn't matter, I just want to make sure you're
Right.
correct.
So, now,
Mr. Napier?
Madam Chair, are we gonna put names up who wants to serve, and then you're gonna decide, how is this procedure gonna work?
Yes, that's my intention, that I would ask all council members if they're interested to submit a letter to the clerk of interest, and then send something out to the public for anybody in the public who's interested to submit a letter of interest, and then based on those submissions, I would make those choices.
So you're talking about four from the council, 4 from the public, and one from the
administration.
That would make 9.
Correct.
Okay, is there a date that this is supposed to take place, or a goal, a date we're shooting for to have this committee formed?
That could be in the substitute motion, that there's a
Do you have a
deadline
date,
of when the
Paul,
submissions.
to get this ad hoc committee rolling?
I'm ready to go right away, you know, and I got my hands in enough. I will not be submitting my name, but I'll be here to participate. I would say in a couple weeks.
So by May 5th, everybody who is interested would express it by May 15th.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Dugas?
Yes, kind of piggybacking on what Mr. Eugene said, the summary states that the changes to the Home Rule Charter with said changes be presented to the voters of Iberia Parish. It does not say anything about coming back to the council prior to going to the, is that the intent of this motion?
Well, it's a committee, so it would come back to us.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because the verbiage here is not clear when it comes to
A
that.
commission would go straight to the voters.
But it's gonna, I'm sorry.
Mr. Goshasan?
Just a suggestion to Mr. Landry. I know we had talked about having 9 members, and I was in favor of 4 members from the council and 5 in the public. Would you be able to maybe reduce maybe 3 members of the council and maybe 4 members from the public? You know, so it's not as many as politicians as there are people out in the public.
Can I make a comment on that?
Mr. Gosselin?
I mean,
I think
I would be willing to work with y'all anything you want. I just think it's so important to get it started. I'm not gonna worry about a number here or there.
Just for FYI, for experience purposes, I served on the last one, and the members, you didn't always get enough of them at the meetings. So I know you are.
From the general public?
From the general public,
Okay.
or either way.
Okay.
So, I mean, just by having 9, probably the odds of all 9 showing up every meeting are slim to none.
Okay.
So if you're worried about having that many at every meeting, it's probably not an issue, but, you know, 7's good, you know, you'll probably average 5 or 6, you know, but I think the more you have, the more information you can compile. But I would agree with it if that's what you'd like to do, but I think the more the merrier.
Okay. I'm good, thanks.
Any other discussion? Mr. Landry, I'll turn it over to you for your substitute.
Resolution creating the Iberia Parish Home Rule Charter Ad Hoc Committee to include 4 elected officials and 4 members from the general public and 1 member from the administration to discuss proposed changes to the Home Rule Charter to be brought back to the council, with said changes to be presented to the voters of Iberia Parish at the election to be held in 2018, and all appointments by the chairman.
A second.
And the letters of interest to be submitted by May
Right.
15th.
Yes.
I have a second by Mr. Napier. Any further discussion? Roll call. That motion carries. Summary number 66, introduced by the clerk of the council, a resolution ordering and calling a special election to amend the Iberia Parish Home Rule Charter pursuant to ordinances previously adopted, making application to the State Bond Commission in connection therewith, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Goshasan, second by Mr. Gonsalas. Discussion? Mr. Goshasan?
If I may, turn it over to legal or ask legal a question. What, Andy, I know we have tonight, we have a publication on one that I'm bringing up and to be voted on at the next meeting. Will we have to do this again, or would this apply, this summary apply to that one also?
It seems to me that the easiest thing to do is to put them both in the same one, so delay setting an election until the passage of the Second Amendment that you
Okay.
want to do, put them together in the same election.
Okay. So you wanna table this till we pass the,
That would
at
be
the
my
same meeting?
suggestion, and then you do them both at the same time.
Okay, I'll wait to table if there's any other discussion. Table it to the next meeting.
Any other discussion? No other discussion, Mr. Goshen?
I'd like to make a substitute motion to table summary number 66 until the next full council meeting.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Gonsalas. Any discussion on the table? Roll call. Motion carries. Summary number 67, introduced by the parish president, a resolution granting substantial completion to Bull Island Road culvert over Channel L4C and bridge over Bayou Park, Purdue. All is completed by Matt Duran LLC and is recommended by project engineers, Sellers and Associates, Inc. Note the correct bridge name, Bull Island Road Bridge. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Paul Landry, second by Mr. Marty Trahan. Any discussion? Roll call. Motion carries. Summary number 68, introduced by legal counsel, a resolution authorizing Iberia Parish government to acquire property and to institute expropriation actions necessary for construction of the Acadiana Regional Airport Road Project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Paul Landry, seconded by Mr. Tommy Landry. Any discussion? Mr. Goshen?
To legal again, if I may. Have we not gotten any better, since the last time we met in committee?
Natalie.
Or, whoever can answer.
Well, the purpose for that ordinance or that resolution is to put us in a position where we're able to go forward with expropriation proceedings
Correct.
if necessary. I think everybody's going to continue to pursue grants of servitudes or rights of way, either through donation or through an exchange of value, but in the event you can't, we don't want to hold up that project anymore. And I think also if potential parties know that it's subject to being expropriated, it might also help bring them to the table.
So just for public knowledge, this is not the last resort right now. This is
just preparing us in
Just
the
in
event
case.
we have to use that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just trying to make sure we have everything in place.
I'm fine with that, thanks.
Any other discussion?
I've talked to the individual. This is going to be the way we're going to go. It's a family between two brothers, and it's nothing that's going to be resolved. So, we could be sitting here for years and years if we want, but, I say roll with this full steam ahead.
Any other discussion? Roll call. Summary numbers, motion carries, sorry. Summary number 69, introduced by the Airport Authority, a resolution amending the 2017 Airport Authority Fund Budget in the amount of $44,037 to adjust aviation rentals revenue account for rental fees associated with the terminal occupancy, $3,000 monthly, and rental of hard surface, $12,007 annually, with said funding adding to the fund balance. Do I need a motion?
Second.
Moved by Tommy Landry, second by Marty Trahan. Any discussion? Roll call. Motion carries. Summary number 70, introduced by Recreation and Playground District, a resolution amending the 2017 Recreation and Playground District Fund Budget in the amount of $95,541 to appropriate funding for the ball field construction at Grand Mary Park, all to be funded from contributions received from Cargill. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Olivier.
Second.
Second by Mr. Trahan. Any discussion? Roll call. Motion carries. Mr. Matra? Motion carries.
Madam Clerk, may I
Yes, sir.
that may require some cooperative endeavor agreements. May be a good idea to go ahead and authorize the signing of any cooperative endeavor agreements. Authorize the parish president to sign any cooperative endeavor agreements in connection with that particular project.
Okay. Can we bring it back on the floor? Reconsider.
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Olivier, second by Mr. Trahan to reconsider. Roll call.
Summary number what?
Summary number 70.
Okay, wait, you gotta say the number.
For the record. Okay.
Mr. Dugas?
Joe.
Oh, go.
That motion carries. Back to summary number 70. I don't think I need to read it again. Mr. Olivier, you had,
Yeah, let me make one comment to Andy, make sure. Actually, the money was moved from Cargill to the Grand Marais Community Development. The Community Development followed the check to the Grand Marais Park and Recreation, which is a nonprofit.
I was a little concerned, it may be, will parish government be doing anything to help prepare the fields for that construction?
Parish government?
Yes.
It's Park and
Like
Recreation.
public, I know, but would Public Works be using its equipment to,
No,
okay,
to my knowledge, no.
purely between,
Pure between Park and Recreation, yeah.
then there would be no necessity. I thought maybe you might be gonna use some Public Works department to help repair.
This is all contract work through Park and Recreation.
Mr. Gosselin?
You said Iberia Parish Parks and Recreation?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, District 1.
In an abundance of caution, do you want to amend your motion that if any cooperative endeavor agreements are necessary, that the parish president is authorized to execute those documents?
Documents, yes. I'd like to amend the motion to include that language into it.
And is that good with the second?
Yes, ma'am.
Any discussion on that amendment? Roll call. That motion carries. Summary number 71, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2017 general fund stormwater management function in the amount of $500 in order to create a supplies and postage line item and appropriate funding, all to be funded from the existing printing line item. I need a motion.
Move. Second.
Moved by Mr. Paul Landry, second by Mr. Ricky Gosselin. Any discussion? Roll call. That motion carries. Summary number 72, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2017 HUD voucher fund in the amount of $6,762 in order to create a rental vouchers portability line item and appropriate funding, all to be funded from the existing rental vouchers, housing vouchers line item.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Brown.
Second.
Second by Mr. Olivier. Any discussion? Roll call. Motion carries. Summary number 73, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2017 mosquito control drainage improvement sale tax fund and the 2017 parish-wide drainage maintenance fund budgets to provide for the annual distribution of actual surplus of funds remaining from fiscal year 2016. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Brown.
Second.
Second by Mr. Michael Landry. Any discussion? Roll call. Motion carries. Resolution 74, introduced by the parish president, a resolution approving the maintenance of the sidewalk on Jefferson Island Road, Louisiana 675, for application to Safe Routes to Public Places Grant Program, which sidewalks are to be located in front of Westgate High and Sugarland Elementary Schools. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Michael Landry, second by Mr. Tommy Pollard. Any discussion? Roll call. Summary number 75, introduced by the clerk of the council, a resolution appointing one member to the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission for a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Mr. Marty J. Domingue Jr., whose term expires June 26, 2017. applications of interest on file from Lloyd Ormsted, Marty Domingue, and Hannah Romero. The only person that has come before the council for this appointment and is eligible to be appointed is Mr. Domingue. So if we don't need a ballot vote, we can take a motion and second. Moved by Mr. Tommy Landry, second by Mr.
I think Mr. Armstead came up here.
Not for this appointment. He was for the last appointment. Second by Mr. Ricky Gonsalas, roll call. That motion carries. Summary number 76, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2017 royalty fund budget in the amount of $91,727 to carry over funding appropriated by resolution number 2016-235 and to authorize change order number 1 for the Norris Road at Segura Branch Canal Bridge Repair Project to provide additional funding in the amount of $40,700 to cover costs for removing 27 stringers and 3 seals, all to be funded from the remaining bond proceeds for bridge replacement repairs. Note the rules will need to be suspended to adopt this resolution, which bypasses the joint committee process. And there's also a change order number 2. Do you have the language for that one? If I can entertain a motion to suspend the rules for us to address both change orders, and I'll read the change order number 2 as soon as we get it. But
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Mathurin and a second by Mr. Trahan to suspend the rules so that we can bypass the joint committee process. Discussion, Mr. Gosherson? Mr. Landry?
Has anybody spoken to the engineering firm and what's happening with them? Has anybody gotten a report?
You can take a vote first.
Can we vote on the motion to suspend the rules, and then you can deal with that discussion once we get there?
All right, that's fine.
Roll call. That motion carries. So that brings us to the summary number 76. Mr. Landry?
Yeah, I'd like a report either from Marty or administration. Where do we stand with respect to the engineering on that project?
I think what happened, Tom, is when they began to dismantle it, they found some structures that had basically deteriorated that they couldn't see when they initially did the assessment, and that's where the extra expense came through.
Just curious.
Yeah, but it's in bridge boundary minerals.
Before we go into further discussion, change order number 2 would be to increase the project by $17,093.49, and it's to do with final adjustments to quantities that were required to complete the project, which was at both ends of the bridge. More roadway had to be removed to get stable subbase and required additional 50 cubic yards of embankment and 5 cubic yards of limestone. And this is at the Cooley Road, Norris Road Bridge repairs. So that would be the change order number 2 that would go in. Further discussion, Mr. Guston, you had something?
Yeah, Mr. Gurr, if you may, just for the record, what is the remaining fund balance for, is it Cooley?
Bond proceeds fund?
What's the remaining fund balance of unused money so far that we have in the bridge bonds?
Presently, we at approximately $353,000.
That's undedicated money, correct?
That's undedicated, unobligated.
And the money spent so far on projects?
Approximately 2.4 million. 2.4, right? Well, closer to 2.5.
That's before or after this adjustment?
That's with this, right?
Well, the 2.4 is based,
No,
based on what's
the
paid.
remaining balance of
Right,
300.
after.
After, if we approve this, it's after.
Right, but that's, the rest of the money's still not, there's still
That's
money
right.
that's not spent
Yeah,
yet.
right.
Thank you, Mr. Gurr. You still got 4.
Don't you?
350,
Any other discussion?
Natalie, can you clarify what the second change order was for? Which, is it for the same project or?
No, it's for a different project.
Which project is that one?
That is for the Cooley Road project. The first one is for the Norris Road.
Cooley Road is in.
That's Eugene's.
It's in District 10.
That bridge is open.
So it's my understanding, Mr. Gurr, that we need an additional $40,700 for the Norris Road Bridge and $17,093.49 for the Cooley Road.
Right, and the first adjustment, the 91,000, is something that the council approved in December, which was after we had already did our budget adoption for fiscal 17. So that 91,000 did not get put into the fiscal 17 adoption, so that's why we're just correcting that.
All right. So it would be all three numbers, all right.
And the 91,000 is actually a portion on each of the two bridges. I want to say one has 70-something thousand and the other one has about 20-something thousand.
All right, so I need a motion for summary number 76 to amend in those three sums. Moved by Mr. Trahan. Second by Mr. Paul Landry. Mr. Shealy, I'm being requested to check with legal to make sure that we can amend the resolution that's on the agenda to include the $17,000 for Cooley Road, and we don't need to do an expansion to the agenda for that item.
I think you can because it's the royalty fund. You have a resolution before you to amend the royalty fund for those for at least that project. It's all comes from the royalty fund, so I think you should be able to.
You're comfortable with us?
Yeah.
So it doesn't change anything that we only suspended the rules just for summary 76 and that we amended summary 76 to include change order number 2. That, is it germane? I mean, I know it's coming from the same fund, but it's
germane because it's from the same fund.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
The issue was, you know, I think what you suspended the rules for is to take up a matter that did not go first to committee.
Correct.
This is all part of that which would normally have gone to committee, but because of an emergency need or a speedy need, you bypassed the committee. So the suspension, I take it, is for the resolution that's being amended.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Roll call. That motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
No. Is that the 17,000? That ain't for our bridge where we at by Sam Spawn.
17,000 is for Cooley Road.
Yeah, but that's not the same project.
Let's make
Okay.
sure. I have a motion to adjourn. I'm going to adjourn the full council meeting, and we will take a 5-minute recess before we go into committee meetings. I need a second. Second by Mr. Landry.